6.
Sword.
Abyss Mage.
Research.
And now, the 6 merry murderesses of Liyue, Inazuma, and Mondstadt. In their rendition
Abyss Mage.
of the Teyvat
Research.
Pop. 6.
Sword.
Abyss Mage.
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 Research.
He had it coming, he had it coming. He only had himself to blame. If you'd have been there, if you'd have seen it, I bet you would have done the same.
Pop. 6.
Sword.
Abyss Mage.
Research.
Pop. 6.
Sword.
Abyss Mage.
Research.
You know how people have these little habits that get you down? Like Ito. Ito, he liked to chew gum. No, not chew, pop. So I'm back to Commission's headquarters one day, really irritated, looking for some peace and quiet. And there's Ito, ready to ask for duel, chilling and chewing. No, not chewing, popping. So I said to him, you pop that gum one more time. And he did. So I summoned my bow and I fired 2 warning shots into his head.
He had it coming, he had it coming. He only had himself to blame. If you'd have been there, if you'd have heard it, I bet you would have done the same.
I met Zhang Li of the Wongshan funeral parlor a good while ago. He provided some excellent guidance, and we hit it off right away. So we started working together, going well beyond working hours. Sometimes we'd have a drink, he'd stay for dinner. And then I found out. Human, he told me. Human my ass. Not only was he an adeptus, oh no, he was 6,000 years old. One of those archons, you know? So that night, when he arrived at Jade Chamber, I fixed him his drink, as usual. You know, some guys just can't do shit without their noses.
He had it coming, Pop 6. He had it coming, feminist research. He took the flower in its prime, and then he used it, and he abused it. It was a murder episode, feminist research.
Now I'm down in the domain, searching for artifacts, minding my own business. In storms my frenemy child in a jealous rage. You've been fighting other harbingers, he says. He was crazy! And he kept on screaming, you've been fighting other harbingers! And then he ran into my sword. He ran into my sword 10 times.
If you'd have been there, if you'd have seen it, I bet you would have done the same.
我和萧一直忠于阎王帝君，但得到帝君注意的总是萧，最终成为了今天的救世主。他要是这么厉害，怎么会分不清清心和琉璃带的区别呢？他中了毒，又不是我的错，我怎么会知道会杀死其他仙人呢
Yeah, but did she do it?
？No, guilty.
My partner Diluc and I had a lead on an Abyss Mage, and my cavalry captain Kaya went on an assignment with us. Now, when we had it cornered, we carried out the offensive like a perfect choreography. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, feint, parry, gale blade, frost snow, one swirl after the other. So after the showdown, we end up at Angel's show. The 3 of us, like good old days. Then, the rest of the nights are back, so I step out for a debrief. I come back, open the door, and there's Diluc and Kaya in an elemental reaction number 17. Melt. Well, was in such a state of shock, I completely blacked out. I can't remember a thing. It wasn't until later, when I was washing the blood off my hands, I even knew they were dead. They had it coming. 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 I didn't do it. But if I'd done it, how could you tell me that I was wrong? They had it coming. They had it coming. They had it coming all along. I didn't do it. But if I'd done it, how could you tell me that I was wrong?
I loved Mr. Albedo more than I can possibly say. He was a real artistic guy, sensitive, a painter. But he had a real scientific approach, and he'd always want a larger sample size. So he studied The Traveler, Mona, Timaeus, and Kaya. I guess you could say we broke up because of a crucial research policy. He saw himself as alive, and I saw him dead.
The dirty bomb. The dirty bomb. They had it coming. They had it coming. They had it coming. They had it coming all along. 'Cause if they use us and they abuse us, how could you tell us that we were wrong? He had it coming. He had it coming. He only had himself to blame. If you'd have been there, if you'd have seen it, I bet you would have done the same.
That gum one more time.
10 times.
Number 17.
Research fallacy.
Pop.
6.
Sword.
Abyss Mage.
Research.
5, 6, 7, 8.